finally answers for three families who lost their loved ones in the Lily mine tragedy. Solomon Nyirenda, Yvonne Mnisi, and Pretty Winnie Nkambule were trapped underground in February 2016. Their bodies have never been recovered. The Nelspruit Magistrate Court this week finding that the Minerals Resources and Energy Department, the police and the ongoing illegal mining around that area played a role in their deaths. In fact, the magistrate said the institutions have failed to have the environment protected for the benefit of present and future generations. Let's get some more analysis about this now with mining analyst David Van Wyk. David, good afternoon. Welcome to today. Yesterday, I interviewed a family spokesperson as soon as we got the news of what had happened in the inquest in the Nelspruit Magistrate Court. They're feeling very relieved, but of course they still have many questions asking themselves. I mean, it's like 7 years on, and now we know that those three mine workers died a terrible death.
Yes, we do. And I think that the management of the mine also bears some responsibility. However, I think there are certain things that we need to take cognizance of with regard to that mine. It was 100 years old when it got its latest license. It should never have been given a license. The only gold left in that mine was, in fact, in the pillars. So they got a license to pillar strip underground. Now, it's like you are in a car parking lot under a big building and you start chipping away the pillars that keeps up the building on top of you. Obviously, it's going to collapse. Now, the finding is that illegal mining caused the collapse of the pillar. Now, what leads to illegal mining in a licensed mine? What leads to illegal mining in a licensed mine is subcontracting and labor broking, because the mine management doesn't know who is supposed to be underground and who is not supposed to be underground at any particular time, because the people employed are subcontracted and from labor brokers. They are not the actual direct employees of the mine. And this is many of our mines suffer from this same problem. Then the next thing, of course, is that the Department of Mineral Resources should not reissue licenses on old mines that have been mined out, that are simply where the old halls underneath and board and pillar mining are only held up by these pillars that remain. And now you send people down to go and mine those pillars and do pillar stripping, you are going to get serious problems. On the West Rand, for example, you will definitely get similar implosions or sinkholes when people strip the pillars, whether they are Zamazamas who strip those pillars or whether they are people who have been licensed recently, and there are many companies that have been licensed to do pillar stripping. Pillar stripping should be illegal. It should not be allowed at all. So that is one of the ways forward. The law should be changed. It should actually say that it's illegal to pillar strip old mines. The law should also say that old mines should be properly rehabilitated and they should be, closed down properly so that people can't get at those pillars underground, which would lead to the collapse of the surface structures above the mine. Those people who died in Lily Mine were actually on the surface in a container, and the ground below them just gave way as the pillars below them broke up and the mine collapsed in on itself. And, they had a relatively safe job issuing headlamps and equipment on the surface, and their whole container went down that very big hole that swallowed them, basically. I think also we should put limits on subcontracting and labor broking so that we can understand who is actually in a mine, who should be in a mine, who should not be in a mine, and so on. In the old days, the mines employed the entire labor force. And, a shift boss knew exactly all the people on his shift. He knew them by name. He knew where they came from. He worked with them throughout the year and so on. With subcontracting and labor broking, the shift bosses no longer know who actually work for them and who should be underground and who should not be underground. So you find mines with legal licenses with ghost workers working underground parallel to the other workers, and nobody knows who is who. No one knows who is the ghost worker, who is the formal worker.
So, David, there are several layers there that you've just unpacked. One involves the Department of Minerals Resources, which is the licensing department. You're saying they should stop licensing old mines. Did you say Lily Mine was more than 100 years old?
More than 100 years old, and it was based on pillar stripping in an area with massive faulting, in other words, a seismic sensitive area.
So they should never have been given a license to continue doing anything. They should have been closed down.
Exactly. That mine shouldn't have been reopened. And, you know, I have a gripe also with the people from Save South Africa saying that they are going to reopen that mine. They should not reopen that mine at all. It is a danger to the people living in the environment there. It's a danger to the workers working in that mine. It is just completely unsafe. No one should be working that mine. It should be closed down and rehabilitated.
Yeah. Now, the police are also been pointed to as those who have failed to implement the law. Would that be around the illegal mining activities that was suspected maybe to have happened in the area?
I feel very sorry for the police, because the police have got massive crime problems to deal with in this country. It should be up to the mining company to secure the mine, to secure all access points to the mine, and to ensure that there's no one underground that is not supposed to be there. But that can only happen if management actually knows who should be underground and who should not be underground. This thing of mine security, they've got militarized security with people with machine guns and all kinds of things running around the mines, but they can't prevent people from getting into the mine. I don't understand how that is possible.
And you're suggesting that the issue of labor brokers must be relooked. Are you saying that perhaps people who were stripping those pillars down there could have been contracted through labor brokers, therefore nobody knew who they are, and that even the three people who lost their lives there, Solomon Nyirenda, Yvonne Mnisi, and Pretty Winnie Nkambule, were also maybe contracted through labor brokers?
You know, 2 years ago there was a big incident where about 21 bodies were found outside of a mine in the Klerksdorp-Stilfontein area. And I was with, in an radio interview with Job Mogoro, the Premier of the Northwest Province then. And interviews with the widows of those Zamazamas that were found there. It was said by the widows, but our husbands were contracted to come to South Africa. We were under the impression that they are coming to work formally and legally in a mine. Now, at the Blyvoor mine, some years ago, about 5-6 years ago, the police actually arrested management because management was putting ghost workers underground and plundering their own company. You know, the shareholders were unaware of the fact that illegal gold was coming up, and on a farm next to the mine, this gold was being processed. You see, we keep on looking at these dirty guys who go underground, but they are not the problem. The people who are organizing them, that is the problem.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time and insights this afternoon. David Van Wyk, he's a mining analyst, just giving us some of his views about the Lily mine tragedy.